You can make a stamp brush out of anything. So I actually drew this picture before and I saved it in, I saved it as a ping into my photos, and I've already done that, so I don't need to do that now. And you could draw anything, okay? And then you can add color to them if you want. So what you do is you go to the brushes, and these are already free ones that I found by Googling, and these are all ones that I made. And so you can alter any one you have to make other ones. But an easy way to start is to just go to monoline. And you want to duplicate your monoline. And now by tapping that, you get the brush studio. And the spacing is what makes it into a stamp, okay? So what you're going to do is don't really have to care about taper, but I often turn it off when I'm making a stamp. So you go to shape, and you can see that this shape is the circle. So you go to edit, and you can go to import. Now, a lot of the free brushes that people make, they just import shapes that are already in the shape source library. So you can use any of these ready-made ones. You can see that the flower is already there, right? So that's an easy one to make. Or you can use anything that you do, like a water stamp like that, okay? Or I could import a file. Oh, I can, from my photos. And this is a recent one that I just did, right? I'm not sure why it compresses like that. So that's a good point and a good question. Doesn't always happen. When I go to the grain source, I can keep the shape source like this, and you can edit it also. You can look at the source library, so you can give it texture. If you go to something like this, it's going to give it a lot of texture. Now, that doesn't really make sense for a lot of... Oh, I did it for the grain, sorry. Again, you could do something like that. And the shape could be any shape that you have. So you can make the flower. And now you can see what's going to happen with it. And depending upon if you have more than one color, that's things that you can find in another brush, and then you can change that brush so that you can have more than one color. I like to not have any tilt on it, and I like to make the max as big as I can. And using a stamp preview, and sometimes I orient to screen and sometimes I don't. And it depends upon what I want the brush to do. So this brush has a lot of texture in it because I put that texture behind it, but I could have made it solid. Earlier today, I actually made a brush from a photograph that I took. So I made this brush. From a photograph that I took of a root that I cut off the bok choy. So I just did the same kind of thing. So if you go to your brush studio, you can see that I've made the spacing max. Because if you have the spacing smaller, that's when it becomes a line. And it could be interesting to do that too. And again, I usually don't have any kind of tip taper. The shape I already put in. So I could show you how to put in a shape like this too. So let's edit it. Let's import the shape from my photos. Here it is. And it might come out like this with the white background. So you have to just tap on it with 2 fingers, and then it will invert. Because to make it into a stamp, it has to be inverted like that. In this case, I did make the grain a little mottled by going into the graining area. And again, I like to keep a the maximum size of the brush, and then you can actually sign your brush over here when you make it. And as you can see, then you can change the color. And it's about, I can make it really big, I can make it little. And I've even made a brush with my signature.